Gohar Shahi marhaba. Brother Steve is Catholic, and he is part of Messiah Foundation International for the past 7 years, I think. And we never advise him on changing his religion. He was Catholic, he is Catholic, and he will remain to be a Catholic. The only difference which has come into existence is that he was a Catholic before without connection with Jesus, and now he's a Catholic with connection with Jesus and with connection with Lord Riaz Gohar Shahi. And did you see that dream today or yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yesterday. Brother Steve saw a dream yesterday that there was a room and it was dark and there was black smoke coming into the room, right?
Yes.
And there was some frightening scene. And then what happened? Al-Riaz, Al-Riaz, Al-Riaz. This zikr started. Not just in his heart, but in his mouth, with physical tongue. What it means is that his souls are revived with Riaz. The souls are colored with love of Lord Riaz. I wish Brother Steve say the dream himself.
Goshi Mahama. Yes, the dream started in it was a house that I visited some time ago, and I had a strange feeling when I was in the house. But this dream started there, and the people that were in the house at that time were, demon in the dream, and crawling around the floor in circles and fighting and things like this. I went into the back room, for safety. Then it was similar to the room we're in, with glass, a lot of glass windows on the roof, on the sides. And suddenly the room went very dark, and what looked like a swirling winds outside, black winds, black clouds swirling.
Smoke.
And they started to come through the cracks in the glass and the window, the open windows. It was coming in towards me.
You know that window of glass and there were cracks?
Yes.
That window is the religion. The religion is now not strong enough.
Strong enough
to fight against the demons.
Wow. So as soon as these started coming through, I started to say Riaz. I was started saying the zikr myself, and it was holding, the smoke was holding by the windows, But then it started to come stronger and stronger. Then it was a different experience than I had before, because this came from my mouth. It was bellowing really, really loudly.
And very strongly.
Very strongly, and
Yeah.
it was Brother Younus's voice coming out from my mouth. And I'd never heard this particular saying before, but it was Al-Riaz, Al-Riaz, very loudly. And,
Wow!
Subhanallah.
Congratulations, Brother Steve.
and then the whole room,
So beautiful.
very white light came and flashed.
Very white.
Yeah,
The room was filled with that white light.
it was.
Brother Steve, you've been to Tunisia, right?
Yes.
What are the people like there? They're very religious, or they're
Yeah, at the time, I'm surprised what's happening there now. It wasn't like that in 2000.
they're liberal,
Yeah, they were trying to
westernized?
become, trying to links with Europe and get tourism, and
Right.
they were like this.
But that was long ago, right?
It was quite.
10, 15 years
Look
ago.
at the news now. Yeah, they seem to have.
Hmm.
Sometimes you look at the news.
Do you have any know-how of Israel?
I've spoken to a few Jews. They have such a varied belief, don't they?
They're very strict.
Some of them don't believe in the Messiah at all.
No, they don't.
At all.
Yeah,
Others believe that the Messiah has to come from the line of David.
yeah.
He's going to come to free
Israel.
for the Jews.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of them believe that he won't be divine, because there's only one God, and God can't make himself human. And so the Messiah.
So he will.
You know, they're
They,
very strict.
they think it's just a human,
Yes, yeah.
not divine.
No.
Hmm.
And then a lot of them, they don't believe in a Messiah at all.
Yeah.
But like you said, possibly the ones to start with are the Kabbalah
Yeah.
ones, and ones that are more.
I mean, there are always, in all religions, there are people who strictly follow the mainstream set of beliefs, very orthodox type, who are not very profound. Their practice is not very profound. They just follow the rituals of the religion, and they're not in pursuit of obtaining God's nearness, or obtaining or adopting a spiritual path of purification, mortification, purgation. They're just superficial practitioner of the religion. They're not really into what they're doing. They just go for the face value. And then there are always some people in all religions who want beyond heaven and beautiful damsels in the heaven, who want to go beyond that point, who want to go for God, who want to go for love. There are always people in all religions. I mean, a majority of people in all religions are very strict, superficial, and ritualistic, and they follow the black letter law. They do not want to dig out the real meaning of the holy scriptures. They just want to do what is easiest for them to do. I mean, going every Sunday to the church is not very difficult. But when you adopt a spiritual path, it's more than a full-time job. It's a target, and it's a lifetime aim. One has to completely dedicate himself in purifying himself and mortifying himself. Adopting a spirituality is more difficult than becoming a hermit. When you become a hermit, you stop meeting people you make jungle your abode, you don't want to see any human beings, and you live a very solitary life, very solitary, lonely life. But when you want to adopt spirituality, then hermitage appears to be less difficult, because adopting spirituality is changing your in and out, is changing your thought process, is changing your behavior, is changing the entire system. The source of enjoyment changes, and the peace. For example, some people become peaceful when they see money. If you have a lot of money in your pocket, you become peaceful. Some people. And some people are not peaceful when their pocket is empty. So for them, source of peace is money. But some people, the pockets are full, still their heart is empty of peace. Some people have everything, every single luxury of the world under their belt, and even then they seem to be in the wilderness. They do not find peace. So the source is different. Some peace is very superficial. That peace is related to luxuries and money and properties and material wealth. But then some will find peace only when their souls are awakened and they have the content of the heart. And they will have the content of the heart when their heart is enlightened and their heart has found its inhabitant.
Subhanallah.
Now, Islam itself is a beautiful religion. Islam itself is a beautiful religion. Islam, the principles of Islam are the principles of every messenger. You see, when Adam came, he talked about good things. He taught people to love God, to love humanity. And then Abraham, he taught people to love God and love humanity, respect all. And then Moses, he was the liberator. He liberated people from the tyranny of Pharaoh. And he asked people to recognize God in their lives and to dedicate to God in worship and love. And then we have Jesus. Jesus was the divine example on two legs. He was walking God. And he talked about divine love. And I think Jesus was the first of all messengers who exhibited gallantry, bravery, and he was dabang, a brave heart. He sort of taught rebellion against ritualistic approach to God. He said, how can you find God in a building that you built with your own hands? He said, turn your heart into temple of God. And he said, love your God, your Lord, with all your heart, with all your soul. In a nutshell, the principles of Jesus the teachings of Jesus circumambulated around one foremost and principal reality, and this reality was God's love. And it is so pleasant to see familiarities between the doctrine of Jesus and doctrine of Lord Riaz Gohar. His Divine Grace, Lord Riaz says, a dog is better than the man who doesn't have God's love in his heart. And His Holiness Gohar Shahi said, Christian says he is the best, Jews say they are the best, Muslim says they are the best. But Gohar Shahi says, the best is the one who has God's love in his heart, even if he doesn't follow any religion. In simple words, Lord Riaz Gohar Shahi has exhibited to the world the true significance of God's love. Sarkar Gohar Shahi has highlighted God's love. Whereas in the religions and holy scriptures, religions had the upper hand, and God's love was not dominant. God's love was not mentioned with so dominance. It was not highlighted. It was not the prime objective in any religion. I mean, there are so many different types of directives from God, and there are so many different objectives in the religion. However, love is one of them. However, Jesus and Lord Riaz Gohar Shahi has nullified all else and gave all significance to divine love. And His Holiness Gohar Shahi said, if you do not love God, then your religious practice is futile. And if you love God, then it doesn't matter whether you follow a religion or you don't. Now His Holiness Gohar Shahi is changing the way we think.
Indeed.
And this message of His Holiness Gohar Shahi is not designed to cater the needs of one particular group of nation or one particular religion. The message has so much absorbency in itself. The message is so universal and so great that it can absorb all nations. The message is so profound. I mean, look at the depth of this message. If you have God's love in your heart, then you're the best. You're better than those who practice a religion. But even then they do not love God. It's like somebody works 8 hours a day and yet he is hand to mouth. And then there is a guy who doesn't work at all, but his pockets are always full. I mean, you can easily say, this guy whose pockets are full all the time is better. He is unemployed, but his pockets are full. So this unemployed man whose pockets are full at all times is better than those who work 8 hours, yet they're always crying, they're always hand to mouth. Because we understand you work in order to support yourself financially, and if that work is not earning you enough money so that you can support yourself, you can support your family, then the one who is unemployed but his pockets are full, better than them. Similarly, these religions were established for people so that they practice these religions, and out of this practice, as a result, they manage to love God. Now, if you practice a religion, but this practice doesn't lead you to love God, then this practice is futile. This practice is useless. Why this practice of the religion is not leading you to love God eventually? I mean, in the olden days when these prophets and messengers were sent and then established these religions, what were designed and planned was from God was to let these people exercise and practice and observe the black letter law, and they should practice this religion, and this will lead them to love God eventually. But now the Lord said all religions and all holy scriptures have been subjected to a lot of alteration, a lot of adulteration. So many things have been modified in the holy scriptures. The Bible is not the same Bible anymore. The Quran is not the Quran that was revealed upon the heart of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam anymore. So what is happening now, when the religions, when the holy scriptures are messed with, when they are tampered with by half-baked scholars, there are half-baked scholars in all religions. When they modify, for example, we have this creed system in Christianity, like Church of England, from time to time they sit together and say, okay, from now on this practice will be irreligious and this practice will be banned. And what is not part of the religion at the time of Jesus, they can sit together under the creed system. They can say, oh, from today this will be considered as religious practice. This is creed system in Christianity, isn't it? Yes. For example, Church of England, they've done so many things which were not part of Christianity at one time. In a similar way, Islam has gone through that phase, and they also have now this creed system which they call ijtihad. Right? For example, they say their statements contradict a lot. For example, their principal belief is nothing is outside Quran. All sorts of knowledge is to be found in Quran. And then they say what is not in Quran, what is not said by the Prophet, then we will do ijtihad on this. But you said everything is in Quran. There is no need for ijtihad then. Ijtihad in Islam is the same thing as creed in Christianity. I mean, you're sitting together to take a decision on something which doesn't belong to you. This religion, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, this belong to the messenger who established it. If you want to bring some changes, consult its messenger. But you don't have approach. You're not connected. When this happened, when they didn't find proper instructions about certain thing in the Bible or in the Quran, they did not think, oh, we should have approach to Jesus and Prophet Muhammad. They said, okay, there are no clear-cut instructions on this topic in Quran and Bible. Let's sit together and take a decision. This is where they went wrong. When this happened, the Bible was adulterated, and the Quran, although the Quran, the phraseology, when we talk about a modification in Quran, we do not mean the text has been changed. We do not say the text of the Quran has been changed. Rather, we say the meaning has been tampered with. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter whether the text was modified or the meaning was misinterpreted. Because if the meaning is misinterpreted and you fail to understand what God meant by what you're reading today, then it doesn't really matter whether the text is changed or the meaning is changed.
Very true.
In a similar way, the Quran has been greatly misinterpreted.
Very true.
Why? Because in order to understand God's words, you need a divine teacher. You need somebody who is in connection with the messenger. Because God directly spoke with him and told him the meaning of Bible and Quran. I mean, Jesus knows what is the meaning of the teachings in Bible.
True.
And only those will know the real meaning of Bible who are connected with Jesus. If somebody is not connected with Jesus, he will never come to know the real meaning of the Bible. In a similar way, in Islam, there are Sufis who are connected with God. From time to time, they had given people the true interpretation of the Quran, and with that interpretation of the Quran, they were able to enlighten their souls. They were able to approach God. And those who were able to enlighten themselves, they never ever hated anybody. They never ever took it to the sword. They never cut the throats of non-Muslims. Whoever appeared to them, they blessed them. Their message was love. I mean, there are so many Muslim Sufis. So many. I mean, they loved Christians and Jews the same way they loved Muslims. Because they did not have any grudge against non-Muslims. I mean, being a non-Muslim is not a sin. And being a Christian is not a sin. Being a Jew is not a sin. Because Jews did not become Jews on their own. Right? I mean, the Christians in America and here in England say there are 3 Abrahamic faiths: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. They say it. 3 Abrahamic faiths. All the prophets unanimously believe that Abraham is the father of all the prophets. And we have the same belief system. We believe Abraham is the father of all the prophets. And to your utter surprise, the Quran says the same thing. We say Abrahamic faith, Quran says Millat Ibrahim. Millat Ibrahim. You see, because of the interpretation of Quran, misinterpretation of the Quran, Muslims now hate Jews because they misinterpreted the Quran. If the Prophet of Islam had taught Muslims to hate Jews, then they would not send solution. They would not send benedictions on the progeny of Abraham and Abraham himself during their worship.
Very true.
You know, all Muslims go to Mecca for annual pilgrimage. Kaaba, the black cubicle, and they circumambulate around it. You know, in that holy place, most of the things belong to Abraham. For example, there is a passage upon which everybody has to run. I think it's a half a mile passage, and it's called Safa Marwa. All Muslims have to run on this. Why? Because Abraham's, Ismail's mother, Hagar, she was holding Ismail and she was running on that passage, searching for water. And in order to celebrate that moment, God has imposed doing that running bit on that particular spot for all Muslims. And this is in the memory of Abraham's concubine Hagar. And then we have place of Abraham. Muslims go there and worship there. And then there are 3 different places in Mecca where there are statues of devil. And before these statues, they go and they stone the statue. Why? Because those 3 spots were the spots where Abraham was met by devil. So this annual pilgrimage to Mecca, 90% of the worship is pertaining to Abraham. And Muslims have misinterpreted Quran and they say Jews are your enemies. This is so wrong. And then in Quran, God said, I have prescribed the pilgrimage of this house, Kaaba, on all human beings. According to Quran, all human beings should go on pilgrimage to Kaaba. According to Quran. But Muslims of Saudi Arabia, they do not let anybody enter. There is a border, I think, where is this border? There is a point outside Mecca. From beyond that point, no non-Muslim can go. What is it called? उसके बाद गैर मुस्लिम नहीं जा सकता. But this is because of the misinterpretation of the Quran. At the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even kuffar used to go to the pilgrimage of Kaaba. And now you do not allow non-Muslims. I mean, there is a difference between non-Muslim and kuffar. If somebody is kafir, he rejects God. And one who rejects God, he will not accept Christianity, Islam, Judaism, any religion. But those who consider themselves Jews or Christians, it simply means they believe in God. Right? So not all non-Muslims are kafir. Those who practice a religion and that religion was prescribed by the messengers and the prophets, they are not kafirin. They are as good as Muslims if Muslims are good. Now, because of this misinterpretation, Quran has been tempered with misinterpretation, and the word of the Prophet, tradition of the Prophet, has been tempered with misquotation. Right? Now it is impossible to gain any benefits out of the practice of a religion which has been tampered with.
True.
Therefore, the religions have lost their significance.
They have.
The religions have lost their credentials.
They have, yes.
Today, the religion, any religion, does not have any credibility.
True.
in terms of connecting people with God.
Yes.
Therefore, His Holiness Gohar Shahi has done a favor upon humanity, declaring that all you want to do is to be able to love God. And forget about the religion if you don't want to follow it. As long as you love God, it's enough for you. So our message is love. Whether it's for Muslims or Hindus or Sikhs or Christians or Jews, at the end of the day, right? For example, people of Adam, they believe in Adam. But eventually, what is their target? To love God,
To love
to
God.
worship God.
Yes.
People of Abraham, okay, you're Jew, no problem. But what is the objective? The objective that that prophet came with is to enable you to love God and worship God.
True.
Bishop.
Same goes with the people of Moses and people of Jesus and people of Prophet Muhammad.
Bishop.
So all these messengers and all these prophets came down on earth with one objective, and that objective was to help humanity love God, worship God.
Wow.
When the objective is same, when the destination is the same, when the destiny is same, why should we fight? Why should we kill each other? These different religions are classifications. Now all religions have been messed up. Let's cut the crap out and get to the point.
Subhanallah.
Cut the crap out means these religions have become futile. Cut this crap out.
Bishop.
Let's get to the point. And the point is, the purpose of all these religions was to make you love God. Now they have become futile, they have been tampered with, they have been adulterated, and they have become like a vehicle which cannot take you anywhere.
True.
So now get to the point.
Wow.
And the point is that you start loving God.
Subhanallah.
The tools of love are here. The
Bishop.
methodology have been sent.
Bishop.
The tools have been sent.
Wow.
I mean, it's not like we're just saying, oh, love God, and nobody knows how to love God. We're not asking people to do things that they cannot do. We're asking people to have these tools,
Bishop.
methodology, and help on top of that, and become able to love God.
Bishop.
It's not about changing the religion.
No.
It's about changing your heart.
Subhanallah.
All the religions were worthy of respect.
True.
Because whatever is in Bible, this came from God.
True.
Bishop.
Whatever was in the book of Adam came from God.
Bishop.
And whatever is in Quran, it was brought by Prophet Muhammad, but it came from God.
Bishop.
When all these books are word of God, same God, then why fight?
Wow.
That's the message.
Bishop.
I'll bring, I have a book on Kabbalah. I'll bring that book tomorrow. And then I'll tell you what Jewish spirituality is. And I'll give you a comparative view of Muslim spirituality, Jewish spirituality, and Christian spirituality. I have a Gnostic Bible. There is a Gnostic Bible. Gnostic is the knowledge. Gnostic is the knowledge which is from God, and this knowledge will take you to God. A knowledge that is from God for God. This knowledge is called Gnostic knowledge. You know, in Christianity, there was a group of people, and they used to call themselves Gnostics. And at those times, if somebody said, I'm not a Christian, I'm a Gnostic, you know what does it mean? It means if you sit with them, you're sitting with God. Because they have the knowledge that came to them from God, so that knowledge could take them to God. With the help of that knowledge, people recognized God and God's presence within them.
Bishop.
This is the knowledge of Gnosticism. What is it?
Gnosticism.
Gnosticism. And then there are people who don't believe in God.
Yes.
They call themselves agnostic. But I'll talk about this tomorrow.
G.
Take care of yourself. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Gohar.